All right, YouTube, what is going on? Bruce here once again. I kind of wanted to do a video just showcasing at least one of my favorite builds, and probably actually my favorite build overall for this league. This league being 3.21, the Crucible League. This character's been a lot of fun, and it's definitely the most fun I've had all league. As far as character-wise goes. Realistically, he probably should be a higher level. I got really greedy. I was just like, you know what? He's doing some really good damage. He's doing some really cool stuff. So let's just throw him into some content, see how he does. And I could definitely still use a few more levels. Like I probably should have waited until maybe 94, 95 before I really started pushing. But hey, you know, I got greedy. So what this character is a Vaal Dominating Blow. That is also using Law of the Wilds for the summon Spectral Wolf on critical strike with this weapon. So that is those are the two pieces to this build really, and it also does have Herald of Purity as well. Right here, there's Herald of Purity. So those are the pieces to this build. It is all very temporary minions that you're running around with, and I'm doing this as a champion. I'm doing it with Impale. And yeah, otherwise we're just going pure minion stuff with Impale on a champion. And this build has been just a lot of fun. I randomly got the inspiration from this from a guy that I saw on PoE Ninja. It looked like he had just taken a bunch of gear though and just respect his character into doing something similar to this. But it wasn't actually optimized. It still looked like it was kind of here, there, and everywhere, and he was still putting pieces together. So I was like, you know, that looks like an interesting build. I've wanted to do something with Law of the Wilds for a while, so let's just throw it all together. So now here this character is. So real quick, we'll just go over the budget. How expensive is this build, really? And let's just kind of talk about that. Realistically, this build is actually very, very cheap. This weapon is incredibly cheap. You can buy one with probably even better rolls than this for maybe 20C. Like it's almost nothing. Like this claw in general is extremely cheap because nobody's doing anything with it, which is entirely fair. But it's extremely cheap. And the other thing that's actually very nice about this claw is that it rolls minion damage nodes, which is very, very nice, as that effect will affect Vaal Domination, and it'll also affect the wolves. So this one has increased damage, some more attack and cast speed, some more increased damage, and then it just has minions have a chance to poison, increase poison duration on me. That's fine. Minions poison doesn't really do very much damage, but it's a little bit more damage, so it's whatever. But the first two nodes are the big important thing here on this claw. This is very nice here. And you can get a claw that does more insane things. If you got one of these claws that had the Dominating Blow and Absolution apply their minion damage at 150% increased power to you, that would be insane. Obviously, I rolled this claw a bunch of times. I couldn't get one to roll like that, so I just have this one, which is just decent, and that's fine. But this claw, though, very cheap. The next piece is this Astral Plate. This is a Hunter Warlord base. I would say this is probably the most expensive piece, it's the most expensive piece that you can build. But I'll tell you that there is another more expensive thing that you can grab for yourself later. I think the base itself was maybe just a divine, something like that, but then actually rolling this to do exactly what it has here, you know, extra curse, Saga Skulls minus mana cost, the crit strike chance, that's a bit more expensive. I would say this is probably closer to like, I don't know, 5 divines, 6 divines maybe. Probably somewhere around there. You can craft it yourself. It's not too terrible. I think you can almost guarantee at least a couple of these with some fossil crafting. I'm trying to remember exactly what I rolled for this, but there is a way to do it that is basically similar. Here we go. This one. So Fizz, attack, and crit is what you want. So Fizz, attack, and crit. Sorry, so you want Jagged, Serrated, and Deft. So you want Jagged, Serrated, and Deft. You can roll down on this chest piece until it hits, I think that'll almost guarantee at least hit the critical strike chance. You can roll it until it hits the socketed attacks, have minus 15 to mana cost as well. And then as long as it has another open slot, then you can just lock suffixes and then either re-roll it as caster over here. You can either reforge it as a caster mod, which Most of the time when you do that, it's only going to hit. You can apply an additional curse, but that's okay. That's what you need. So that's what you do. You just stuff it in here. You do that. If you really want to and you want to throw more money at it, you can just continuously slam it. You can, as long as it has an open prefix, you can just continuously slam the suffixes can't be changed, throw it back in here, rinse and repeat over and over until it hits something that you want, or all the prefixes fill. And that's about it. The shield is really nothing special. This is basically just a shield that is just a stat stick. I think if you had a fossilized shield here, that'd probably be better. More damage, better overall, more than likely. This is just because I want it to be a little bit beefier, but the hunter influence on it means nothing. It doesn't, the reduced extra damage from critical strikes means nothing. This is just a shield. It's just a shield flavored shield. Anything here, as long as it suits the, have some life, some block, whatever. Or just do a fossilized. Very cheap, very easy to make. Literally don't even have to worry about that very much. If you want a fossil craft on it, you can. Just use some dense fossils, just throw that at it till it hits something good. This Ancient Skull also very cheap, but it's also very nice because our minions are super temporary. Ancient Skull actually is very nice because the minions hearing the whispers actually doesn't matter almost at all. They crit fairly often, and then they'll hear the whispers, which hearing the whispers, if you don't know, makes them attack a lot faster, deal with some more damage, I believe, and they also take 25% of their max health as chaos damage. Oh, here we go. Yeah, 50% increased attack speed and damage, and do not listen to you. So that's why I'm not running something like Convocation as well. Convocation doesn't mean anything because they're going to be critting often enough that Convocation isn't going to do anything. They won't come to you. They'll only teleport to you if you're off screen. So we're running Ancient Skull just because it's a lot of damage, and our minions are so temporary that it actually doesn't matter that they have that. Next up, this ring right here, probably also one of the more expensive pieces, but the base itself was, I think, a divine and a half, which really isn't that bad. And then all that you do is just slam some more fossils, do some bound fossils, do some I think these are shudderings. Just do bound and shudderings over and over again until you hit what you want. You could probably throw one more in there as well, and I'm sure you can. You know, maybe more attack, so maybe more serrateds as well. You could probably do bound, serrated, and shudderings, and you'll hit this pretty consistently. Honestly, this is actually very easy to roll with also crafting. This ring here is nothing special. This is like a 10C. Basically, it just has the increased damage roll, which is nice, and then I needed it to fill out resistances for this character, so that's exactly what it does. Nothing special. The gloves as well, also nothing special. Some life, some resistances, that's literally it. The most important things for the glove is that they have the non-Vaal strike skills target one additional nearby enemy. For map clear, with Dominating Blow, that makes a huge difference. And the increased accuracy rating, I would say, is also pretty nice. It is actually kind of hard to get accuracy capped on this build. As you can see, my accuracy is only at 94%. It doesn't matter too much because of us being a champion, but it is annoying, and it will be noticeable if your accuracy is too low. These boots also, nothing crazy. Brittle Ground being the most important piece here. I needed a lot of dexterity, so I think I just crafted these with essences until I hit the dex. Again, not expensive. The boots, the gloves, these are also like 5-10C. You could probably make these incredibly, like, you can make these way, way, way better than I have them made right now. I just have not taken the time to do that. The amulet here, again, I just needed a lot of stats. And I needed resistances. So it has life, it has stats. It also, I just hit the non-channeling skills. It has stats, life, resistances, that's it. It's just a very basic amulet. And also, as you can see, I'm allocating Eagle Eye for more accuracy and for more global crit strike chance, which is also good for Law of the Wild, so that we crit strike some more. And then we're using a Darkness Enthroned with 2 Ghastly Eye Jewels. This is to also fill out resistances a little bit. But increased damage if you used a minion skill recently is very nice, and that's all that I'm really trying to hit there. So realistically, Darkness Enthroned with an 89% roll, not terribly expensive. I'm not sure what exactly the value is on that, but if you can get a higher roll, I'm sure, or at least a similar roll, and it shouldn't be too terribly expensive. These jewels will be kind of expensive though. Ghastly Eye Jewels are very, very expensive because they're still in the meta. So this is probably where you can really dump some money, is in gas AI jewels, or you can craft them yourself, just to fit whatever you. And then let's take a quick look at the tree. Are there any jewels I'm trying to think of that might be expensive out here? Again, that's nothing crazy. That jewel is nothing crazy. That jewel is nothing crazy. The taunt doesn't matter, actually, but the rest of it is nice. This base here, the minions deal 10% increased damage, is actually very, very expensive. And ideally, you would also have one here that has the passive skills grant 35% increased effect, and minions have increased attack and cast speed. Those two combos would make this even stronger, but this as a base, I think, is like a divine or a couple divines, so this could be very expensive to craft on as well to hit exactly what you want. It is eye level 84, which is what it needs to hit the 35% increased effect. So that could be where you dump a lot of money. These jewels, again, nothing crazy, nothing that expensive. This really isn't insane. Again, I needed it for resistances, and it has the fractured increased minion damage. And then I'm using a Forbidden Flesh and Flame, which aren't very expensive because of the fact that we're taking Fortitude. So we have Forbidden Flesh and Flame for Fortitude. Those are just right there. Those were, I think, maybe in total 2 divines. So, I mean, to put this character together, you're looking at maybe 10 divine if you're really going out there and going hard, but it's very cheap to start up. I didn't have any of this to start up, and it was still doing very good work as just like starting and low leveling and all that kind of stuff. Again, the claw just being very important, and then just having a 6 link with your dominating blow. It's very nice. But overall, it's not bad. Overall, it was really not bad. Oh, another maybe divine and a half for a bottled faith. If you want to, this isn't very necessary. It just helps, again, to get more wolves out. But if you have enough crit, if you get crit elsewhere, you just happen to have enough crit on your tree, then Bottled Faith might not be necessary. It's just something that's nice to have. So that's up to you. Otherwise, let's see, what else do we have on this character? Let's talk about the gems really quick. So, with Law of the Wilds, the sockets that are on here all affect Spectral Wolf. So we have just some increased crit strikes, Awakened Brutality. This, you could buy an Awakened Brutality level 5, and it's very, very cheap as well. 20%. It's maybe 50C. It's very cheap. I just have not, because I think I dropped this one, and I just wanted to level it. So, yeah, you can buy a level 5. So we have just increased crit strikes, Awakened Brutality, and increased crit damage, just to make the wolves deal more damage, jump around, do some more crits, all that kind of good stuff. Pretty nice. Up here in the hat, we have Determination with an Enlighten level 3, Pride, and Anomalous Petrified Blood. Anomalous Petrified Blood makes you you tick down a little bit slower with that, which is very nice. Very comfy. Over here on the shield, we just have Mark on Hit with Life Tap and Assassin's Mark. Again, just more crit. We have the extra curse that we can apply, so we might as well just use Assassin's Mark, because we're already applying Vuln on hit with our Bone Ring. For our Dominating Blow setup, what I will say is that Phantasmal Vaal Dominating Blow is about 3 divines to pick up. You don't need to use Vaal Phantasmal Dominating Blow. It is good to have at the end, because it gives you 2 additional normal sentries of dominance, which are the ones for if you're just smacking a unique enemy, they're the ones that spawn during that. So it's very nice to have later on, but as you're leveling and as you're first gearing this character, you really don't need it. It's entirely optional for a while. Impale is very important though. We're taking Impale. Here's where I have an Awakened Brutality level 5 that I bought, which will be nice because it allows you to crush enemies for 4 seconds on hit. Happens all the time. And then we're using a Divergent Multi-Strike. If you have an Awakened Multi-Strike, if you're rich, then you use an Awakened Multi-Strike, which would be stronger. Melee Splash is actually very, very nice in general. It has +1 level to Sported Strike skill gems at level 5. But the other thing is that since the Splash applies to all of the Dominating Blow sentries you have, it makes map clear very, very smooth. And if you do something like a... what are these called? I'm forgetting. blighted maps. If you do a blighted map, it also makes that incredibly smooth. All of your minions are just popping everything. Everything's dealing AoE damage, and everything's just spreading out. It's very, very smooth. So use Awaken Melee Splash while you're leveling, or while you're going through maps. The Sport of Strike skill gems is again very nice. Gives it plus 1 level. What I would do as well is if you're then going to go in for a boss, if you're going to start bossing, I would swap out your Melee Splash with an Empower instead, just to give it slightly more levels. It's just slightly better. And then the last thing that we're using is increased critical strike support. This is also up to you. If you have enough critical strike chance, you don't need to use increased critical strike support, or if you decide that you'd rather just do a full Dom Blow build instead of with the wolves, then you would drop this out for awakened minion damage support, because again, plus 1 level supported minion skill gems and just more damage in general. So that's what you would do instead. I recently swapped to this just to get my wolves out a bit more consistently, because my crit strike chance is still a little bit low. So that's what you would put in instead if you really wanted to. I just like having the wolves out. I like just having as many minions as I can. So that is why I swapped to increased critical strikes. Otherwise, we have just dash, just for usual travel shenanigans. Shield charge as well, just for traveling. This is while you're mapping, just to make things faster. Dread banner, this is also for impale. This gives us increased, increased effect to pale when it's at quality, and then otherwise we're impaling just in general. Spirit Offering is something right now that I have, but I really tend to forget that I have it. It's nice just because it gives your minions more crit strike chance, crit multi. It is pretty nice. I tend to forget that I have it all the time though, and it's one of the things I actually would drop, which I will talk about in a second. And then I'm using just a Molten Shell. Actually, that reminds me. Molten Shell. I'm using a Molten Shell just on left click with a Vaal Molten Shell on my W, because you know, you need to survive some hits sometimes. I'm using a level 17 precision. That is because I do not have enough mana to use a higher level one. So that is also another reason why my chance to hit is a little bit low. And then otherwise we're using Herald of Purity with Arrogance, which is for the Petrified Blood. So then we reserve 50% of our life, because Petrified Blood is going to hold us at 50% regardless. And now let's just get more minions out. So that is all the gems that we're using. The one important thing then that I would say, and what I was talking about with Spirit Offering and dropping it, is that if you really also had money and you wanted to drop more money and you decide, you know what, I want to support both of these, well, socket pressure becomes a lot tighter. And what you could do though is you could drop the shield and you could put in a Squire, which then the Squire would have more, the gems that are in the Squire would also then support the Spectral Wolves for Law of the Wilds. And then you would move these 3, or at least 2 of these if you happen to have more mana. Maybe you have a level 4 Enlighten, and then you can pay the mana cost for Assassin's Bark. And then you would just drop something like Spirit Offering. You could probably drop your Molten Shell if you feel like you're tanky enough. Otherwise, there's maybe a few other things you could look into dropping. Maybe you decide that you just want to run around with Dash. Maybe you don't like Dash, and you just swap it in and out. Whatever it is that you decide to do. Maybe you don't want Shield Charge, you just get rid of that, and then you go boom, boom, boom. You have those 3. You mix and match your sockets, and you throw the Squire in. Squire, at the end of the day, is not required for the build, but it does add a lot more damage. And the other thing as well is if you wanted to specialize into one version of this build or the other, if you say, this looks like too much bruise, let's not go too crazy, you're scaling crit, accuracy, the dominating blow, and the wolves. That sounds like a lot of scaling to do, and it sounds like a lot of pressure here. Let's just go dominating blow and just go towards the wolves. That's fine. You still don't need the Squire to start up with wolves. Just the 3 socket and then being level 25 on their own is very nice, and it is very strong. You could run around with something, instead of Dom Blow, you could use Cyclone here, just Cyclone Impale with a couple other things, infuse channeling, increase crits, etc., and then just spin around instead, and you'll summon a bunch of wolves that way, and that will carry you until you're able to get a Squire, and then the Squire will add a lot more damage. If you want to focus the pure dominating blow side of things, you drop the Law of the Wilds, and you could use, as a temporary solution, or if you wanted to make it your permanent, you can. You could use... Oh wait, it's a claw. Whoops, I don't know, I'm looking at gloves. The Scourge. The Scourge is a very solid option as well. It has increased attack speed. I believe for Crucible League, this will also roll a minion tree, which then is also very nice, and increases reductions to minion damage affect you at 150% of their value. Beautiful, there you go, more damage for you. And then the other thing is, if you did that, you could probably drop Spiritual Aid, and you could instead just go up the right side here and take Righteous Army, or if you don't have enough points, then you could still just do this anyway. Spiritual Aid would be a bit of a moot level. But that's fine. And yeah, so that's about it as far as gearing wise goes. I guess also as well, if you did focus the pure Dawn Blow side, and you went with the Scourge, you could rock this until you either, if you wanted to rock that permanently, you could. If you again felt like you wanted to do something with the Squire, you then could as well. And you would, you could still do the Squire, you drop the Scourge, you put in probably some sort of axe or something that is Shaper and Elder influenced, and has more support gems attached to it, and then you throw down below the 2 supports in there. You have the Squire for the additional 3. Bam, there you go. You have even more sockets on it. Would do a lot more damage. Would be a really insane build. And then your chest piece could just be an enlightened support setup with all of your auras. And that's about it as far as like the variations of this build go. Let's quickly just talk about what we're taking. Otherwise, as far as the Ascendancy goes, we have Inspirational because it's just a very nice one. Also makes our banner skills cost no reservation. Free Dread banner, we love that. We are taking Master of Metal because the Impales, you inflict lasting 1 additional hit, and just giving us more armor and giving us added damage for each Impale. Like, it is a lot of damage, and it is a lot of survivability. It is a very, very nice node for this build, and very important. And the last things that we're taking is the chance to taunt on hit. Enemies cannot evade your attacks, so as long as you hit them, it shouldn't matter anymore, and you should then be able to hit with even with your low accuracy rating. But the taunt is just very nice in general, makes it deal less damage, makes it take more damage, and they can evade you. So that's very helpful. And then obviously with the Forbidden Flesh and Flame, we're taking Fortitude. I did try using... where are they? I think I put them away. I did use a Blood Notch and Immutable Force instead of the Forbidden Flesh and Flame for Fortitude. I think it's pretty comparable. Maybe it's a bit more survivable. Maybe it's a bit more survive friendly. Maybe you can live a bit more with this combo instead of with the Forbidden Flesh and Flame. But I feel like the Fortitude really helps for those one big hit that you'll take. Whereas Blood Notch is just kind of for a lot of like smaller hits that you're taking that might stun you over time. But odds are you'll live more with the Fortitude. I decided to go with this route. If you went with the Immutable Force Blood Notch combo, that is way more expensive. That is like 10 Divines right there for something that is pretty comparable. I would rather just take the Fortitude route personally, but it's still not bad if you did decide to go that way. Or if you're like, you know what, I have enough damage, and you drop 2 jewels from your tree and threw in that combo, I also wouldn't blame you there. That would also be pretty good. Right. Otherwise, the rest of the tree is, since we're starting on Champion, since we're starting Duelist, we're on the far side of the tree, so we just come down here, we get Master of the Arena, we get Bravery, we get Art of the Gladiator, it's all very nice stuff. And then we're just going to essentially book it all the way over for the minion nodes. We're going to take Grave Pact, we're going to go up here and get Enduring Bond because of the increased duration. We're taking Sacrifice, we're taking Spiritual Command, we're overwhelming some physical damage reduction with our minions. And then others are making up here. Fearsome Force is very nice because we're getting our minions to do a lot of crit damage, or at least as much as we can, so we go up and get that. Otherwise, we're just taking life nodes where we can. We're getting some tankiness where we can. We come down here for the increased armor. I think you could take Divine Shield as well if you really wanted to. With a couple more levels, if you really want to, you could take Divine Shield. You could take Sanctum of Thought. If you're like, wow, my accuracy is really bad, you could instead come down here, take these 4, get some accuracy. Or if you say, you know what, it's elemental damage that's killing me, you get Prismatic Skin here. Maybe you take one of the nodes you don't want to deal with, like the Blood, Maimed, Impaled, whatever. But I like Prismatic Skin. It's just nice as far as the elemental damage reduction side goes. And if you still feel like you're taking too much elemental damage, you could come up and take maybe Anointed Flesh as well for another +1. Since we are also reserving both life and mana, the Reservation Mastery for +1 to all max if you have reserved life and mana. Very, very nice. You can take some more life here, quick recovery if you want. Like, there's a lot that you could still do with this build. You can take combat stamina if you really want. but this side of the tree is your main primary focus. So with that, I guess let's quickly just go run a boss, and we'll just do something basic. I don't really have anything set up because I don't really have any big bosses set up. I was running around and doing a lot of the big bosses earlier just to kind of finish some challenges, so I do not have anything ready as far as that goes. But that's alright. We'll just do a basic little show off. Like I said, there's still a lot to this character, and realistically I probably wouldn't recommend doing some goodness until or doing some serious bossing. Oh god. Until okay. That was unfortunate. WinZip popped up in the middle. WinZip popped up in the middle of that. Oh my god. All right. That was incredibly unfortunate. Thanks, WinZip, for showing up in the middle of that. I hate you. But anyway. So yeah. But you can see though, like, the clear speed and just like the clear in general is very nice. You have a ton of minions. You have quite a lot of survivability outside of when WinZip goes ahead and assassinates you. For Crucible, I will say it's kind of scary. And I don't really have anything to even put in there, so I'm truthfully gonna skip it because I don't have anything that I need to level right now. But like, you're fairly tanky. The other thing as well though is that you are pretty susceptible as a petrified blood build. You're pretty susceptible to damage over time, and that is actually why I run the Pantheon for taking no damage from Burning Ground, because Burning Ground is pretty often, especially if you're farming Steering Exarch, that kind of thing, then you have to deal with Burning Ground all the time, and it is very annoying to deal with. So I usually try my best to you try your best to just avoid all of the dots where you can, because dots are painful. Alright. As you can see though, like, Vaal Dominating Blow, it's so much fun. Look at all these minions I have out. The wolves are here too, also backing us up. The Vaal Dominating Blow boys are absolutely huge. Drox got absolutely destroyed right there just from the boys crushing on him right here. And yep, that's still exactly what's going on right now. Look at that. Oh my gosh. Like, the damage is insane. And even when you're go in and fight a real boss as well, like you fight Sirius or you fight Maven or something, you just it does take a little while to ramp because you have to crit to get your wolves out. You have to hit and get the 25% chance, I believe, to get a Dominating Blow to spawn on a unique enemy. So it can be a little bit painful to get ramping, but once you get ramping, as long as you're staying alive and you build up yourself enough to where you can have a get a Vaal version going, then the boys are huge. Boys deal a lot of damage. They slap absolutely everything, and the Vaal version lasts for a long time. I believe it lasts for 45 seconds. It has a huge AoE. It lasts for 45 seconds. Like, it is very, very strong, and it's very fun. Like, this has seriously been some of the most fun I've had in a while. I'm legit thinking about League starting this next League and maybe trying to just see about just full staying Domblo or Spectral Wolves, but I'm not really sure. Because I'm just having fun with both of them being around. I feel like it'd be betrayal if I were to just drop one or the other, but yeah, that's really it for this character. That's kind of all I wanted to show. The character itself is just so much fun. It's really not that expensive to get started, but has a lot of investment potential that you can just shove into this character. I hope that you are having a really good time with Crucible League. Crucible League itself has been such a good time. It adds so much power to weapons, and just really opens up a lot of build possibilities and a lot of build potential. I'm hoping to do some more with this character, so we shall see what else I'm really able to do. I do have less time right now, and especially with the Diablo 4 release being around the corner, I'm going to be spending a lot of time playing that just to kind of suss that out for a while. So I kind of don't have a lot of time for PoE. I'll be trying to slam some out in the next couple weeks. So if I'm able to level this character up a few more times, get some more gear, maybe I'll post another update. Maybe I'll post some boss killing or something if I'm able to. But anyway, I hope you enjoy. I hope you enjoy Crucible. I hope you think that the build looks interesting. The POB will be down below, as always, if you would like to take a look. Side note about the POB as well is if you set... I'll have the count for the wolves set to 10, but I'll have the count for Dominating Blow only set to 1. And that is because if you set the count for Dom Blow to 11, like you can have max 11 normal sentinels, so I would just assume that I have 11 normal sentinels out. But if you set it to that, it will also assume that your character's instance of Dominating Blow hits 11 times, which obviously there aren't 11 of me on the screen also smacking things. So I'm just going to have that set to 1, but you could basically just multiply the damage of the Dom Blow character by 11, and then you'll kind of get a more accurate representation of the damage. But either way, hope you guys enjoy. Hope you guys have had a good time with the league, and otherwise, enjoy overall. Bye now.